Good day and God bless. My name is Marcus Anthony Terrell. Today's date is 2/15/24. I'm recording to show the world my innocence in a case that took place in 4212, where I received 3 lives and 50 years for a rape case that was not rape. It was clearly adultery. In the first instance, it was around 2011, I think, around the end of the summer. I'd been living in the house of my aunts on 1752nd Drive. I moved in the mother-in-law suite, which is the bottom half of the apartment. My wife had left me for my next-door neighbor, so I moved out and moved into there. My sister had passed. My sister had been seeing the next-door neighbor's son, so when I visited, I went over there with her and met the neighbor of 1752nd Drive. Years later, I moved in, and my family owned that house for many years, and I moved in. We've been neighbors for 7 years. The next door neighbor on 1752nd Drive, said victim in this case. We eventually started seeing each other, sneaking around. We had probably had an intercourse about roughly four times. As far as I can remember, before the night of 4212. There was a gap for about 8 months. We had seen each other for about 3 different occasions, and then there was about an 8-month interval between that. I started working for Next Gen Communications, started going out of town a lot, and worrying pretty much about the neighbor's husband finding out about what we had going on. I was pretty much not really interested in continuing this act until the night of 4212. I was out on the porch with my nephew. It had been about 8 months. I had merged my own company, Linear Information Technologies, with Next Gen Communications. We were doing really good. We just landed the Fort Benning account, just me and him. I was going to be stationed out there for a couple of years, overseeing the communications, IT, voice, and data implementations. I'd just bought a brand new vehicle. My nephew had come over, and he drove me. I let him drive my vehicle to the store. I got a 40-ounce beer. We sit on the front porch, we were playing guitar and passing. I was playing Here Without You, about 3 doors down. I can remember like it was yesterday. He was showing me some 5-finger death punch song. He's a little harder than I am. And I had went around to get a pic on the mother-in-law suite of this house, faces the next door neighbor's porch. If you look in the picture, it's about a 25-foot gap right there. That little walkway that's my front porch. That's her car parked right in front of my front porch for the last 7 years. And I expressed that because in this case, she had testified that she has never seen me before in her life. And she parks her car 7 feet from my front porch for the last 7 years. Story short, when I went around the side of the house to my front door, my nephew was still on the front porch. My deceased sister, now deceased at this time, been deceased, her cat was on my neighbor's van, her Lexus, putting footprints all over, muddy footprints. That's what she liked to do. She had big furry paws with muddy footprints, so she stomped all over her car. She was up there, I was yelling at the cat. My neighbor's dog is a huge dog. It barks all the time. And it went off. It started barking at her door. I went up there and grabbed the cat, my sister's cat, off her van. And I had to urinate was part of the thing. I told my nephew I had to go around there and grab a pick and urinate. And so I just turned to the bush real quick right there. It's dark. You can't hardly see. And I started urinating. Well, light flicked on. She come on out in her nightgown at that. And she come on to me that night. She started kissing me. Out of the blue, just in a weird sort of fashion. But anyway, long story short, she went back in to put the dog up, and I'd come behind her, and we ended up having intercourse that night. It's probably for about 25 minutes before her husband had come home, and her husband was at the bedroom door. When he come home, you could hear the dog paws. jumping up and down, hitting the hardwood floor. So I roll off the bed. My clothes are folded by the door, mind you, and my wallet is in my clothes. You can see them in the picture. They're folded neatly by the door. But my shoes are over by the other side of the bed. Well, I jump up and grab a pair of shorts that are off the chair, and actually by the bottom of the chair, and slip my shoes on and run up to the door. The shorts are too big for me. And so I'm in a rush, though. I look out around the corner of the door, and her husband is standing there. We see eye to eye. Everything stops. Their dog crouched down like it was in attack mode and was tripping. Everybody went to tripping. He went to yelling, and I just shot out past him. I left my own clothes folded by the door, right there by the bedroom door. Wallet, ID in them. I run out right past him within arm reach, run out the back door, and I jumped the back fence. I was going to run to a neighboring house to call back to my nephew and see if my neighbor's husband had went over there, and I was afraid he might hurt somebody or whatever. I don't know. The man was mad. He was yelling pretty loud, and words as in he was going to kill me and this, that, and the third. So yes, I was moving pretty fast, so I jump over and I run across 20, and I run to a neighboring house and knock on the door. But when I jumped the fence, they just cut the bamboo in half in between the two fences, and I fell on half-cut bamboos, and that's what they used in Vietnam to kill people. So you can imagine I was ripped up pretty bad. The fence had broken. I fell head first in it, and so I jumped on. I went over to the house, and I knocked on the door, and I said somebody was chasing me. I didn't know what else to say to the lady, but I'm covered in blood because the bamboo had done scratched me up, and I'm ripped up real bad. Didn't scratch, it gouged me, and so I went out by the driveway, and she was yelling for her husband. I was going to tell him exactly what happened when he come out, because I did not want to tell this lady what was going on, and but I just wanted to use the phone to call my house. But we live at the bottom of the hill from the jail. The police got there in 7 minutes per 911 record. So I'm at the driveway, and then the lady behind us come out. The next door neighbor from her come out, and I started talking to her. She was like, "Are you hiding from the police?" Because the helicopter started flying, and then blue lights at the end of the road just all at once while I'm talking to this lady. Well, the lady that I'm talking to happened to be a sergeant at the jail, anyway, Miss Alkins. So I said, well, I think I might know what's going on. I could. And so we walked together. I tell her exactly what happened. I said, look, this is what's going on. That's why they're here. If they're here for me, this is what's going on. I said, neighbor's husband called and caught us. So we walked to the police car at the end of the road there, and I told the officer, I said, he asked me, do you know what's going on? I said, well, if it's about this, then yes. He goes, yeah, the detective wanted to talk to you. So we go down to the detective station. I told the detective exactly what happened over and over. And then the other detective walked in. I wasn't Mirandized or nothing. I voluntarily told him everything that happened. And we were just sitting there talking, really. And the other detective come in and said, that ain't what she said, blah, 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 blah. She said, you raped her, da, 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 that you broke in, da, 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 da. And I totally tripped out. And then at that point, I explained that, I explained to him that, this thing been going on for a while, and that it went on for about 3 months. On the recording, he even said that it went on for about 3 months, and that she wanted me that night, and that we've been having an affair. And in her recorded statement, she said she was asleep, and a strange man that she'd never seen before broke in and had raped her while she was asleep. They said that her husband was home the whole time, and their large dog while this occurred, and that lamps are being hung around the room, and that she was screaming loudly, and supposedly her husband's just in the next room down there, the study, with this large dog, and they just could not hear any of this, not even their large dog. But her recorded statement does corroborate one thing, In her recorded statement at the end, it said, when I left the room, there was loud yelling and the dog was barking, which corroborated my recorded statement of him catching us and the dog barking and him yelling. But they did testify, and they told a story that he never caught us, that he was oblivious to what happened until she was allowed to go to the bathroom, lock herself in the bathroom, look for a weapon, and the strange man was on the outside of the bathroom there, trying on a pair of shorts way too big for him, and that she opened the door, and the man's there, and he runs out the back door, and he's gone. And then she runs out and goes to the study and tells her husband, hey, some strange man broke in and raped me. And he says, oh, what happened? And he goes, she went out the back door. So they go to the back door. They both testify that we only seen his leg go over the fence over and over and over. And then they call 911. And then after the 911 call was made by their testimony, he turns and he asks, so where did this happen? She said, my bedroom. So they go to the bedroom. And he testifies that he goes in and sees the mess, lamps on the floor and everything. He picks everything up, and in 7 minutes before police come, this room is vacuum clean. If you look at the picture, everything is vacuum clean. There's no lamps on the floor, none of that stuff. He picks it all up, supposedly. That story come out the day before trial, that he picked the crime scene up. That story wasn't even there before. I'll explain that in a minute. Then he goes to the clothes photo by the door and picks them up and says, hey, so what clothes was the man wearing when he left? Okay. During the trial, my attorney presented the 911 call, which shows the police got there in 7 minutes. It shows that wife said that she'd never seen the man before, and it shows that the husband is explaining exactly what I had on when I left the house. And the 911 call was made before he went in the room and said, hey, what clothes was the man wearing when he left? Which in that aspect, it would be physically impossible to know what I had on when I left if he never even seen me leave. So clearly, he caught us in that aspect. The other aspect is, I was gone before she even left the room. So if he seen me leave the house, which that's factual, it's fact, it's established. He had to see me to know what I was wearing when I left the house. He had to be right there in front of the bedroom door because I'm gone before she even ran out the room to tell him about it. So how could he make a 911 call and say what I'm wearing if he don't even know what happened yet? So that places him right dead in front of the bedroom door. It corroborates exactly what I told police and halfway what she told police. He was at the door yelling and the dog barking on the recorded DVD. This was explained at 377 of the record of the trial. He admits to it. He just lied. He stood up for the jury on 346 of the record and acted the whole thing out. Her running to the study, her screaming she got raped, all this stuff. He acted it out. Sit down, my attorney hit him with the 911, and he goes, he admits to it. He admits it's physically impossible. What he just acted out for the jury was physical, impossible, corroborated, perjured testimony, which is a felony in a judicial proceeding. It has no jurisdiction. And now we go to these lamps, the crime scene. I'm going to show you the photos and everything to this. The crime scene. Okay, there's nothing out of place. It's a vacuum clean crime scene. And the story about the lamps being picked up, she told everybody that she hit me with lamps, and lamps were being slung around the room, this, that, and the third. But the original CSI photos taken, not a couple hours afterwards, came. There's nothing out of place. It's a vacuum clean crime scene. There's a full bottle of water, full, open, and not spilled on one nightstand. Everything on the other nightstand's there. She gets up there and says she hit me with a lamp, a reading lamp, that he testifies to. His testimony come out after 460 of the record. I tell my attorney, I said, look, there's nothing out of place. This is a vacuum clean crime scene. Can't you see that? If there's a struggle, they're saying lamps are on the floor. They're not there. That's a lie. He tells the prosecutor the week before trial, the date before trial, the prosecutor goes to the crime scene, does an emergency sound experiment with no sound equipment, but yet takes new pictures of a crime scene. Then a new story comes out while she's taking new pictures of a crime scene that only match the new pictures she took. She said she went there to do an experiment. She'd stay in the bedroom and she would scream, and he would stay in the study and he'd raise his hand if he could hear her. Of course, he didn't hear her. But the thing is, whole new pictures of the crime scene come out that altered the crime scene, and a new story to match it that only matched these new pictures. And these crime scene photos were showed as the crime scene as he was testifying to this false impression. And what it was is he testified that there was 3 lamps on the floor. She's saying 1, and she gives 5 different ways that it was knocked over, it wasn't knocked over. And he's saying that this day that, the reason why the crime scene was spotless like it is, I picked everything up in 7 minutes before police arrived while my wife's back here screaming and crying about being raped. I'm going to clean up this room before the police arrive. Okay, it's vacuum clean, and if you look, there's handprints on the side of the bed where he pulled the cover. This plain as day. I'll show you the picture. You can count each finger. And the thing that's significant about these handprints on the side of the bed is the wrinkle flow from the handprints to the other side of the bed is uninterrupted. It would have been broke if there was a body weight laying in the middle of that bed or anywhere on that bed. Them wrinkles would have a break in them. They'd be interrupted, but the wrinkles are fresh all the way across. There was no body weight on that bed when the covers were pulled. And that's a form of fashion of staging a crime scene. And it was the day before trial, like I was saying, the prosecutor makes an emergency experiment. She don't tell anybody, not the defense or nobody, just runs to the house after she talks to CSI. And then the new story comes out, he picked up the crime scene. She asked him why she's there, 378 of the record. Hey, why is the crime scene vacuum clean? He says, I forgot to tell you, this is a year later that I picked up the whole crime scene before police arrived in 7 minutes. I forgot to tell you that. That was what was presented day of trial. I objected. My attorney ignored it. Everybody ignored it. I objected to all the new pictures that corroborated this story. He said he picked up a reading lamp. There was 3 lamps. He picked all 3 of them up. Or 2 of them, excuse me. The other one should have still been on the floor, which is not. The other one was a reading lamp that wasn't even in the room the night this went down. He testified 352 of the record. Twice. I'll show you the testimony. He picks up specifically this reading lamp he uses to read it with. But the thing is not even in the room night this happened. So you know that's physically impossible. That's showing that this lamp story is physically possible evidence as well. Corroborated perjured evidence at that. That's another same felony in a judicial proceeding. On top of false impressions, now the prosecutor steps in and shows these false impressions of a crime scene before even showing the real crime scene photos while he's testifying to picking up this reading lamp in the room. The pictures that she's showing has the reading lamp in the room. The reading lamp is significant because it shows force. It's the element of rape, force, and non-consent. It shows a struggle took place. If he picked up the crime scene and the reading lamp that he testified that's in the new pictures only, not in the CSI pictures. I'm going to show you both of them. That's a false impression of a crime scene. The prosecutor went and corroborated a false impression. She made the evidence herself the day before trial and presented it as the crime scene before he testified to picking up these lamps and after the reading lamp, not even in the room, but only in the new crime scene photos. That again, and that's it. That's all he testified to. That's his whole testimony is about these lamps and her running to the study. That's both proven factual, physically impossible evidence. Corroborated perjury at that. Felonies, felonies, felonies. His testimony has no jurisdiction, nor hers. The reason why they corroborated all this was to cover up the fact that when he called us, I ran out and he beat her. I got charged for all that. And that's what they're trying to conceal, the fact that he had beaten her. And when I left, he wanted revenge on me and pulled the covers on the side of the bed to try to stage a crime scene. He didn't know nothing about the lamps, her story about the lamps, till the prosecutor called. Because if he did, a week later, he called an investigator about fixing the fence in the backyard that got broke. He said, I didn't want to destroy a crime scene. But yet, he don't tell him he picked up the whole crime scene. You know, it's just lie to cover a lie after a lie. But yet the lie cost me triple life and 50 years in prison. And the thing is, there's no bruises on her, no inner thigh bruises. If somebody was holding her legs or something, there would be inner thigh bruises. No skin under her fingernails, because they just forgot to test that, because there wouldn't be. even more so, if you look at the picture, I'm going to show you another picture. When he went to staging the crime scene, he also tried to pulled a clean pair of underwear out of the underwear drawer. There's a clean pair sticking out of the underwear drawer that got caught in the drawer where he slammed them back on the clean underwears. They got stuck. He's pulling them out in a hurry. And he put them up under the covers, the pillows at the head of the bed. I mean, she's testifying these underwear were thrown on the floor, but yet they're under the pillow at the head of the bed. And the thing is, they have the biological test done on it. These underwear are perfectly clean. They've never been worn. If she had them on, she's a 50-year-old woman. I mean, there's going to be some kind of her fluid in them. Some sort. There would be some kind of DNA in them of her own. They said they did a light test. There was nothing on them. Okay, and there's a little rip in the band, which I didn't know nothing about. Again, it wasn't in my discovery. Just like the emergency experiment she done. That was never in my discovery. So I knew nothing about any of that. And these underwear are found at the head of the bed. And again, clearly, if you look at the pictures, you'll see a clean pair hanging out of the drawer where he's standing back on that when he was pulling them out in a hurry, when he was staging, when he was pulling the covers on the side of the bed to try to create this crime scene. And the prosecutor corroborated that creation by presenting the false impressions of a crime scene that came out the day before trial. There was the only thing in the sex assault that took this case outside of consent to them. That's using their sex assault assessor. Their expert witness said all the injuries have been found in consent cases, except some strange little external bruise down there. He did that because they already concealed the fact that he beat her. Okay. He grabbed her down there too as well. There's a little bitty bruise down there. It's an external bruise. And they said, that little bruise is why we don't find it consent. Everything else equals consent in this case. So that goes along with him concealing that he beat her and he caused these little red marks on her face. And you know this to be true because why else would they be corroborating perjury to hide it? Why would they be staging crime scenes? Why would they be doing any of that? He was seeking revenge on me, and it's in the 911 record. Somebody just broke in, raped my wife. Wife does not know the man. Right there it tells you what happened. As soon as I ran out that door, he turned to her and said, "Who the hell was that?" Because he probably just didn't know. He didn't recognize me because I was moving so fast. And she was saying, "No, I don't know. He broke in and he raped me." But then when he's getting my clothes, he got the ID and he done made the 911 call and reported it. This man just come in and raped my wife. My wife don't know the man. And he looks and gets my ID and says, "Man, this is the next door neighbor. I know who the hell this is. What do you mean you don't know him? This is the next door neighbor for the last 7 years." Schmack. And he beat her. That's exactly what happened. It's simple. This case is not hard. I've been gone 13 years. I've had reconstructive surgery. I've been stabbed. I've been beat repeatedly. I'm sitting in the hole right now because the administration has been beating me repeatedly. I think I deserve some kind of something out of this. And now let's go through the pictures.